Was telling me earlier, as you saw in that clip, that the big question is how this capital is raised by the banks, and there will be some taxpayers, particularly in countries like Germany and France, that will be nervous about this deal. How do you think this capital will be raised?
I think there is a combination of sources. Obviously, the banks will have to contribute and their investors will have to contribute. Some taxpayers' money will have to go in there, but that will be to insulate taxpayers from bigger losses if a huge number of European banks goes down. And we can never predict what will be the result of that.
Britain not contributing, British banks not involved in this. Of course, they are in a healthier state than a lot of Eurozone countries. George Osborne there, though, pushing from the sidelines for this deal and for more deals to come forward. Do you think Britain is right to take a step back and deal with the Eurozone at an arm's length?
Considering the effect that our relationship with the Eurozone has on our economy, on the value of our assets, in the stock exchange, it's a pity that Britain hasn't been more involved, more constructively involved. Sitting on the sidelines and lecturing people never takes you far. We do have skin in the game, and I would like to see the British government be a little bit more involved with our European partners, because at the end of the day, we are in this together.
There are some ministers, including those in the party that's part of the coalition, the Conservative Party, who will be voting and debating tomorrow on whether Britain pulls out of the EU altogether. Bad timing for the EU and certainly for David Cameron, isn't it, who so far has managed to keep this wound in our Conservative Party closed. It now seems to have reopened, but it does show that the anti-EU feeling that is now re-emerging.
There is a strong anti-EU feeling from the new generation of Conservative MPs, mostly because they were chosen for that reason before elections, for their Eurosceptic sentiments, and they have come together to push the government towards that direction. But I agree with you, the timing is a bit bad. I welcome the opportunity to have the debate, and what's going to happen in the House of Commons and hopefully around the country will inform a little bit more of Britain about the benefits of EU membership. But certainly the markets will be looking and thinking, is that what the UK should be doing right now, thinking about staying or going, or should we engage more constructively in making the EU work better?
Petros, many thanks for coming in. Petros Fassoulas there, Chairman of the European Movement in London. Thank you. Now, anti-capitalist protesters who've been camping outside St Paul's Cathedral since last weekend have pitched some of their tents at Finsbury Square now in the City of London. Officials have had to close St Paul's Cathedral for health and safety reasons and say it is costing thousands of pounds a day in lost tourist revenue. Well, our correspondent John Brain has been at the Finsbury Square camp.
Two locations to this anti-capitalist protest now. One here, as you say, in Finsbury Square, near the Royal Bank of Scotland and opposite the Bloomberg Financial Information Company, as we see this protest escalate. But the main one is still, of course, at St Paul's Cathedral, which has been closed since yesterday. A musical protest on the steps of St Paul's this afternoon. But behind the demonstrators, the entrance to the cathedral remained firmly closed. And that meant disappointment for many of the tourists turned away from this famous London landmark.
We finally found it, and then we just realized there's lots of protests, and then we can't get in, so we just sat down and wasting time.
We were coming here to visit it, but unfortunately it's closed, so we have to do other things now, I guess.
The cathedral has been closed since yesterday. The decision was made on health and safety grounds because of the tent encampment now inside.
It is rather difficult for a cathedral to function with this melee outside.
So yes or no, should they leave?
No, I think we can survive for a little bit longer.
Natasha Rigoduro was one of the few members of the public who was allowed inside today for her marriage to Paul Cunningham. The couple and their guests had the cathedral virtually to themselves. But as they exchanged their vows, outside the protest was expanding. Demonstrators marched to Finsbury Square in London's financial district. A second encampment is now being set up here.
The occupation loves you!
The protesters say they'll be here for the foreseeable future.
Who's dead? Who's dead?
Well, there are about 30 tents have been set up here. No signs that anyone else arriving so far, but the people here say they are determined to stay here indefinitely.
John Brain reporting there from Finsbury Square. It's 22 minutes past 8. Good evening. You're with BBC News. These are the latest headlines this hour. Libya's interim government has promised to hold elections to the new National Congress within 8 months. Colonel Gaddafi's body, which hundreds of people have queued to see, is to be returned to his family for burial.